Since most of you don't know what these iPhone system services are capable of doing to you, I have decided to take the list of iPhone system services and explain them, from top to bottom. First things first, the reason why you must watch this video until the end, is because a lot of these iPhone system services, when you look under the bonnet, a lot of possibilities open up. Possibilities for you to be tracked, your battery to be drained, or your data to be sold, and when you take a closer look at all of them, Apple gives them to you when they are all turned on. Trust me, this is intentional, and we are going to know why Apple does it like that, if you are in the right place. Please consider subscribing because it helps me a lot. Also, you can leave a comment in case of any inquiry or suggestion. Let's dive in straight away. First, we are going to go to System Services on my iPhone. I'll open Settings and scroll down to Privacy and Security, then tap on that, then tap on Location Services at the top, and you have to scroll all the way to the bottom of this page, then tap System Services. And we'll start with a brand new system service, called Alerts and Shortcuts Automations. This lets your iPhone use your location to remind you to call someone when you get to a specific place or when to leave for your next appointment. This one is fine for privacy, but trust me, it may not be great for battery life. Note this. GPS is one of the biggest battery drainers on iPhone. The more often your phone uses it, and the more accurately it searches for your location, the faster your battery drains. So to save battery life, I'm going to turn it off. Next, Apple Pay Merchant Identification, which lets your iPhone use your current location to help provide more accurate merchant names when you use your physical Apple Card. Most of us don't even know where our physical Apple Cards are, and we have never used our physical Apple Cards, and there have been reports where Apple Pay incorrectly identifies the merchant based on location. So you buy an iPad, next thing you know, your phone is notifying you that you made a purchase at the barbershop next door. It's just a temporary malfunction, but it can cause some unnecessary worries, and so in this case I'm going to turn it off. Next, Cell Network Search. Network search might sound like it has something to do with your phone's ability to search for cell networks. For sure, I don't know why most of you think like that. But to educate you more, your iPhone uses GPS and Bluetooth along with crowdsourced Wi-Fi hotspot and cell phone towers to determine your phone's approximate location, and approximate often means within a few feet. So companies like Apple love taking credit for how much they respect our privacy because they're not sharing our location or spying on our location using the GPS that's directly built into our phones. But if I was Apple, how would I deliver targeted ads based on a person's location? That is what the crowdsourced databases are for. So when it's time for you to see an ad, your phone sends data to Apple about which cellular networks, which Wi-Fi hotspots, are in range of your phone, then Apple checks its database to see where those towers are. Now Apple knows basically exactly where you are, so I will also turn this off. Next up, Compass Calibration. This is one of the useful ones on your side. The most important part of what this does is actually in Maps apps, where it helps you to point your phone in a specific direction. It's especially useful in large cities and also cities with a lot of skyscrapers, if you don't have a great GPS connection. Your phone can use its internal compass to point you in the right direction. So we shall leave this one on. And as you see, we are not just turning everything off, but rather I am telling you the truth about these iPhone system services. Next up, Device Management. This is a service that allows your employer or an organization to manage your phone. If your department at work doesn't manage your phone, you have to go ahead and turn this one off. The reason you must turn this off is that any monitoring that goes on in the background of your phone using a device management profile is not always obvious because it's designed to be invisible, so it's a dangerous tool in case it lands in the wrong hands, so you have to always keep it turned off. If you think I should make a much more detailed video about that, leave a comment below. Emergency Calls and SOS is next. When an emergency call is placed in addition to the location already provided to emergency services, your iPhone or Apple Watch will make additional data available through what's called the Enhanced Emergency Data Service, for example, street address information. If your current location is near your home or work address, and your contact card will automatically text your emergency contacts when the call is over, but you should also be aware that for safety reasons your iPhone's location information may be used when an emergency call is placed to aid response efforts, even if you do not enable location services at all. So personally, I like to leave this one on if I'm having an emergency. Let's give the emergency responders as much info as possible to help them out. Next up, Find My iPhone. You got to leave it on if you want to use Find My iPhone in the Find My app, so I'm leaving it on. As I said, most of them have a negative effect, but not all of them. Next up is HomKit. This is Apple programming technical language for the tech that lets smart home products like lights and locks to work with your Apple products, like iPhone and HomePod. This switch controls whether or not HomKit or the Apple Home app can use automations based on your location. For instance, you might want your iPhone to turn off the lights when you leave home. This looks great, but if you struggle at all with battery life, you are going to turn this one off. Next up is motion calibration and distance. For your information, this is less about your actual iPhone than you might think. Motion calibration and distance lets your iPhone improve the accuracy of your distance, pace, and calorie calculations on your Apple Watch, mostly when GPS is unavailable. But if you're not using your iPhone to work out, you have to turn this switch off. If you do use your phone to work out, or especially if you do any of the Apple Watch fitness stuff, you can leave it turned on, but me personally, I advise you to turn it off, because every time you turn one of these switches off, you save a little bit of battery life, and who doesn't want more battery life for their phone? Next up is networking and wireless. This is the Wi-Fi version of cell network search. Most of you think by the name networking and wireless that this would have anything to do at all with your phone's ability to network or be wireless, but surprisingly you are wrong. This is about building Apple's crowdsourced database of Wi-Fi networks, which are devices that they can use to track your location and show you targeted ads, because your attention is worth money after all. There's this misconception that just because user data is anonymized, you're safe, but guess what? They're still sending data about your device, like unique identifiers and all this other stuff that's connected to the device itself, and you happen to own the device. So it isn't a big jump to get from anonymized to non-anonymized data. For instance, if somebody is determined enough, or has the resources of a government, let's not mislead ourselves into thinking that we're truly using our phones anonymously. So we have to turn this network and wireless off. Next up is setting time zone. When you take a quick look, it's a no-brainer adjusting your time zone based on your location, but in real life, it's a big battery drainer. In case you have done a little traveling in your day, but you are not a rich fashionable person who travels a lot, you don't need your iPhone to constantly check in with cell towers to decide which time zone you are in, and in most cases you are always positive you won't be leaving your time zone today. So you have to turn this off. When you do travel, you just come back in here and flip the switch on and off again to update the clock on your phone, and you're saving battery life in the meantime. Next up is share my location. This enables you to share your location through the Messages app, and if you turn it off, you can't share your location with anyone. For this I will leave the decision to you, whether or not you want to leave this on or turn it off, but keep in mind location sharing can be a big battery drainer, as you have been warned. Personally, I do use it sometimes, so I'll leave it on. Next, suggestions and search, which lets your iPhone send its location to Apple to provide more relevant recommendations for you. For example, relevant search suggestions and local news. So most importantly, if you don't turn this on, you'll save battery life, and Apple will still use the IP address of your internet connection to determine where you are and still does its work. So you can safely turn this one off. Next up is system customization. Now system customization lets your iPhone customize system appearance, behaviors, and settings using your current location. It looks unclear, but let me use a common example. This can automatically enable optimized battery charging when you're at home, and according to Apple, none of the customization data in here actually ever leaves your device. With that, we are safe and also have a reason to have it on, which is the optimized battery charging thing. Now this next one is worthy of attention, that is, significant locations. Let's tap on it, and you will use Face ID to log in. Let me explain how does this work. Your iPhone and other Apple devices keep track of places you've recently gone, as well as how often and when you visited them. In order to learn places that are significant to you, this data is used to provide you with personalized services, such as predictive traffic routing and to build better memories in photos. But note that your iPhone has to use GPS to find out where you are before it can encrypt and save this data, and that is a battery drainer. So if you want to get the most out of your battery, you must turn this feature off. Then tap back. Next we head into the product improvement section. We'll start with iPhone Analytics. This lets your iPhone include your location in analytics data you may or may not be sending to Apple or to app developers. This doesn't turn off the collection of or sending of all your analytics, it just turns off the location piece of it. But this setting is far too unclear for my liking, and also it's more GPS usage, and therefore more battery drainage. So I recommend you turn this off. Next up, routing and traffic. This service tracks your speed and location to provide traffic information in your Apple Maps. It also allows your iPhone to periodically send barometric pressure information to Apple for their crowdsourced road traffic, And atmospheric correction databases. What the heck is an atmospheric correction database?
What?
For I don't know, and my measurement on this one says you should turn it off. Next, improve maps. If you turn this switch on, Apple will collect the GPS coordinates obtained through significant locations, and match up them with street addresses associated with your Apple ID. So basically you're helping Apple to find out exactly where your house is, which I guess you wouldn't like to do. It also lets your iPhone periodically send location of where, and when you launched apps, including the name of the apps. I still guess you wouldn't like to do this as well. So you have to turn this one right off, before going to the last one, and you find this video helpful, please consider subscribing because it helps me a lot. Also you can leave a comment in case of any inquiry or suggestion. Status bar icon. When an app uses your location, this switch turns on that same little icon. For all these system services too, if I were more of a cynic, I might have to say, the switch is off by default. Because Apple doesn't want you to know just how often your location is being used. Because nobody likes to see that their location is being tracked, when they don't think they need to have it be tracked. So I recommend turning this switch on, and face the truth about just how often your phone is tracking your location, and draining your battery as well. See you in the next one.